A spoonful of sugar cost more lives than any war, and we still don't talk about why. The story doesn't start in a Caribbean plantation. It starts in Venice around the 1400s, where sugar was a luxury so rare that only the wealthy could afford it. A single pound cost what a laborer earned in a month. It was medicine, it was spice, it was status. And that scarcity made it worth everything. Exhibit 1. By the 1600s, European demand for sugar exploded. Not because the price fell, it didn't, not really, but because empires realized they could grow it. The Portuguese started planting cane in Brazil. The Spanish and French followed in the Caribbean. And suddenly, the supply problem became a labor problem. Here's where the math got dark. Growing sugar cane is brutal work. The heat, the cuts, the disease. European indentured servants died fast and there weren't enough of them, so planters turned to the Atlantic slave trade. By the 1700s, sugar was the economic engine of slavery itself. The two are inseparable. Exhibit 2. The numbers. Between 1500 and 1800, roughly 12 million Africans were forcibly transported to the Americas. A huge portion, historians estimate around 40%, ended up on sugar plantations. Sugar wealth built cities. It also built the transatlantic slave trade into an industrial machine. And the revolutions. Exhibit 3. Haiti's slave population working sugar plantations under French rule staged the most successful slave rebellion in history in 1791. They won, but France demanded repayment, billions in today's money, as compensation for lost property, lost enslaved people. Haiti spent 2 centuries paying for its own freedom. The cost of sugar then wasn't just the price at the market. It was written in human suffering, geopolitical debt, and the structural inequality that still shapes the Caribbean today. And this is the part most of us never see. That price, the one we pay, was subsidized by slavery. But the story doesn't end in the 1800s. Sugar stayed cheap because the system didn't stop, it just evolved. After slavery ended, plantation owners turned to indentured labor from India, China, and the Pacific Islands. Different chains, same economics. The goal: keep the price down, keep the profits up. Fast forward to today, sugar is cheap, cheaper than it's ever been, adjusted for inflation. A can of soda costs less than a bottle of water in most places. That's not an accident. It's the end result of centuries of cost-cutting that began with slavery. And then there's the health bill. Exhibit 4. The World Health Organization estimates that sugar-related diseases, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, tooth decay, cost the global economy over $2 trillion annually in direct and indirect costs. We're paying for cheapness with our bodies. The poorest communities pay the most. Low-income neighborhoods have fewer fresh food options and higher exposure to sugary products. The same populations whose ancestors were enslaved to produce sugar now face the highest rates of sugar-related disease. The inequality is structural. It's generational. So why is sugar still so cheap? Because the true cost, slavery, colonialism, environmental destruction, health crises, was never factored into the price. It was externalized, pushed onto people, ecosystems, and entire nations. We see a price tag, we don't see the history behind it. Exhibit 5. Modern sugar production still relies on exploitative labor practices. In the Philippines, Brazil, and parts of Africa, workers on sugar plantations earn pennies per day, face dangerous conditions, and have little legal protection. The machinery of cheapness is still running. The faces changed. The system didn't. And the environmental cost. Sugar production drives deforestation, depletes soil, and consumes massive amounts of water in regions already facing scarcity. In some Caribbean islands, the water table has been destroyed by sugar farming. Communities that produce the world's sweetener often have no clean water to drink. What we're really looking at is a 500-year-old bill. The price of sugar never included the cost of slavery, colonialism, or the slow destruction of land and health. We're all paying it now, in disease, in environmental collapse, in global inequality. That spoonful of sweetness came at an enormous price. Understanding the real cost of sugar isn't about guilt. It's about seeing how economics actually works, how prices hide history, how systems persist, and how the choices we make ripple across centuries and continents. The cheap things we buy often carry hidden debts that others are still paying. So that's why sugar costs what it does, not because of supply and demand alone, because of centuries of extraction, exploitation, and externalized suffering. The price tag you see at the store is only the beginning of the story. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research. Subscribe to uncover the hidden supply chains and historical costs behind the everyday products you think you understand. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research.